My name is Dr. Susan Nelson. I'm a clinician in the Pet Health Center, and that's our area general medicine for dogs and cats. So what I'd like to talk to you about is disaster preparation for your pet. We all have heard a lot of things about what we can do for ourselves in the event of a disaster, but I want to give you some tips on what we can do to prepare our pets in the event of a disaster. And different disasters you may think about. Sometimes they're large scale, sometimes they're small scale. Small scale may just be a house fire in your own home. We can have tornadoes that come through, areas where there's earthquakes. There can be earthquakes that can affect a lot of people, flooding, ice storms, blizzards, nuclear disasters, and there's other things that could make us have to leave our houses in a hurry. I'd like to break this down into 4 different areas. One's going to be medical information, there's going to be transportation, and then we're going to have sheltering and then kind of supplies. So for medical information, you definitely want to have somewhere written down, documented, your pet's vaccine history, any kind of medications they're on, along with the doses. So you want to have all that readily accessible, because sometimes you don't have much time to leave your house. Pick up the bag, it's ready to go. You need to have some form of ID on your pet. 2 would be better. One would be an external ID, such as a collar and tags. Some of them may have tattoos. Internal identification, such as a microchip. So hopefully with the combination of those 2 things, they lose a collar, you still have a microchip on. That's a better way to try to reunite with your pet. When you're going to transport your pet, with the smaller animals, the crates or carriers are probably your best way to go. They're going to keep them safely confined and make it harder for them to escape. A larger dog you'll probably have to have on a leash. It'll be too heavy to try to carry a crate out with that. You want that crate to hopefully be big enough for your cat so that it can hold a small litter box. And for cats or dogs, make sure you can have a couple dishes in there, one for food, one for water. Also, if you can line that bottom with newspaper, that would help, so if they do have an accident or something spills, it can absorb the waste there. Another thing, if you can do this, is to train your dog or cat to come on call. Now sometimes they'll be scared and won't come, but if they're used to coming when they're called, that will help a lot, so you don't have to search for your pet as you're trying to leave. Now the next thing we'll look at is going to be with sheltering. The other thing you need to plan ahead of time, especially for if you have to evacuate, is where can you go with your pets if you have to evacuate your house. So first line is you could ask relatives or friends if you could go there with your pets. But remember, in a case of a larger scale disaster, they may be in the same boat you are and have to leave also. So you need to have some alternative plans, whether that be hotels that are pet friendly in your area, also boarding kennels, facilities, veterinarians that allow boarding, not only just right there in your hometown, but probably you might want to have a 40-60 mile radius and kind of have some backup plans on where you can take your pet. Now the last thing we talked about a little bit before is supplies. And so depending on the kind of disaster situation you have, that will dictate whether you're going to shelter in your house or whether you need to evacuate your house and go somewhere else. So for in-home sheltering, with that you want to have a minimum of probably 3 days of food and water in the house. And then the same thing, any drugs that your pet needs to take, any medications, you should have those too. What you can do, if you think about it, is date. You can do like sample portions in Ziploc bags for their food. You can date those and then rotate your stock every few months. Now if you have to leave your home, there again you want to have kind of an emergency bag that's ready to go, and in there you're going to want some extra leashes, and real quickly you need to know what those medications are. Maybe have some extra supply of medication. You're going to want to have some small packets of food. Remember, you're probably not going to be lugging a 20-40 pound bag of food if you have to evacuate, so some small prepackaged meals. And there again, your medical information should be in that Ziploc bag in that area. So if you got to leave, in goes your pet, out you go.